Now to our Sunday group. They're joining us just down the hill from me back at the Fox News Washington Bureau. USA Today White House correspondent Francesca Chambers. Townhall.com editor and Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich. Founder and chairman of the Faith and Freedom Coalition Ralph Reed. And 2020 Biden campaign surrogate Kevin Walling. Hello, guys. I hope you're enjoying the air conditioner over there.
It's much cooler in here, Shannon.
So glad to have you with us. All right, let's start here. There are warnings from Democrats who are worried about what President Biden has to do when he shows up on Thursday at the CNN presidential debate. Here's Van Jones.
If Biden goes out there and messes up, it's game over. If he walks out there and a week later he's lower in the polls, it's panic in the party.
But Francesca, if he shows up and has a good night, that could be a huge boost, too.
Well, the Biden campaign, Shannon, is already saying that they don't expect there to be a major jump in the polls or an effect really at all in the near term. They see this as more of an opportunity to organize and get their supporters engaged in this election. Indeed, they are saying in a memo just this morning, again, that when you have these two candidates who have already been well-defined, they're the same two candidates who ran last time, that much of the electorate is already locked in, and it's a small group of voters who are going to ultimately decide this election.
So we know the debate prep is different for these two as well. President Biden at Camp David with advisors, spending days getting ready for this. Our Alexis McAdams, reporter for Fox, was with President Trump last night on Saturday and asked him about debate prep, and he said this is it, getting out, answering questions, talking to people. Reuters talked to someone who cautioned that maybe is not the best approach. Alan Schroeder, who's a professor of journalism at Northeastern University, says there's some risk in the less formal approach for Trump, who, like Biden, has not debated in 4 years. Quote, debating is a very specific thing. It doesn't really pay to just show up. Ralph.
Well, I certainly don't disagree with that, but I think it's pretty an even game because neither one of these candidates has debated in the last 4 years. I mean, Biden really didn't have a primary. Trump was so far ahead that he made a decision not to participate in the primary debate. So they're both in a situation where they didn't get seasoned by primary debates. But I can just tell you this. I was with the president, meaning Trump, former President Trump, yesterday. He was at our Faith and Freedom Conference. This guy's in the zone. He's ready. And by the way, I expect Joe Biden to be ready. I mean, the idea that he's not going to be able to get up for a moment this critical that is going to be a defining inflection point in this campaign and could well determine whether or not he's voted out of office or not, they're going to make sure he's ready, and I think it's going to be game on for both of these candidates Thursday night.
And it will be interesting to see if they go heavier on policy or heavily on personality, because we know that they're going to talk about character, fitness for office, all of these kinds of things. But our new Fox News polling this week, when we asked what is this year's presidential election mostly about, issues and who can do a better job, so more the policy wing, that was 59%. Character and fitness to serve was 29%. So, Kevin, how should that factor into how both of the sides look at going at this thing? Because we know there are going to be some personal jabs. I don't think these two will be able to resist.
There certainly will be, Shannon, but I'm hopeful that it will be a substantive debate on the issues. Of course, it's a different format than in previous cycles, with that mute button that we've talked about, with the fact that there's no audience. So I certainly think both of these individuals are going to bring their A game. To Ralph's point, this is the first time they've actually been in the same space since the last debate 4 years ago. So certainly I think it's going to, again, focus on these issues. Of course, the timing of the Supreme Court decisions that you just talked about might weigh heavily in terms of the conversation on Thursday night. But that Fox News polling actually shows some wind at the president's sails. The fact that now he is leading the former president by 2 points, the first time we've seen a poll where the President Biden is leading the former president since last October. And more importantly, he's leading with independents by 9 points in that poll. To Francesca's point, with so many people's minds made up, those independents are going to be who actually makes the next president take office next January.
Yeah, a lot of good news trending the White House's way, the president's way in that polling, as you said, him with a 50 to 48 point lead head to head when you look at these two matching up nationally. Now, there are several key states that we keep paying attention to because they're really going to make all the difference. Now, in Pennsylvania, the Wall Street Journal talks about the fact that there are an average of polls that give Trump a slight edge there, that he is doing things like he did last night. He went into Philadelphia, a place that is very blue and not traditionally a place that would be a stronghold or a winning winning place for Trump. And we would guess that's probably going to be the same thing this time around. But he's going to different constituencies and places that he thinks that he can move some ground. Now, in that Wall Street Journal piece, they say this. In a CNN exit poll in 2020, 92% of black Pennsylvania voters polled reported they voted for Mr. Trump. Mr. Biden. Only 7% reported they voted for Mr. Trump. This month's Marist survey found that the president's black support has fallen to 68%, while the former president's share has more than tripled to 23%. Francesca, how worrying is that for the White House? Because that mirrors polling that we had in Virginia a couple weeks ago as well, showing triple the black support for President Trump this time around.
Well, and in the polling that we've done at USA Today of black voters in those battleground states, what it does show is that President Biden is facing a potential problem of attrition that could make a difference for him. But they're not necessarily going to go to Trump. One of the problems he's facing is that they could just stay home in the election altogether. And so he needs to get those voters re-energized. And not just in those states, but in other states, such as Georgia as well. There's major concern among Democrats about black voters not showing up in these southern states in the Sun Belt.
All right, Francesca.